My name is Lindsay Smock, and the title of my speech is Decriminalizing Abortion. Most 18-year-olds graduate high school with big plans. Some want to go to college to pursue a degree in the career of their dreams. Some go straight to the workforce and learn a trade, and some become entrepreneurs and even start their own businesses. They hang out with their friends, they learn how to live an adult life, and they start planning for their future. I too wanted to do all of these things. I graduated high school with good grades. I started attending co-college where I aspired to become a nurse. The only difference between myself and other 18-year-olds my age was that I was pregnant with my first child. I remember a quote from my own mother that has stuck with me until this day. She told me, at the end of every day, a mother is always the one responsible for their child, responsible for feeding, raising, and loving that child to the best of your ability. I thought about this and I decided I was ready to bring my son into the world and to do whatever I had to do to make sure that he was taken care of. With the help of my friends and family, I've been able to raise my son in a loving home, but not all children in America have the same fate. And while I didn't choose to have an abortion myself, it was something that I did consider. And I believe every woman should have the right to an abortion if they choose to do so. The argument against abortion is a moral argument, which is subject to personal interpretation, meaning that it should not be legislated against. This is why abortion should be legalized, because women should be allowed to make the right choices about when they want to have children based on their age, relationship stability, and financial stability. Raising a child is not an easy task. It requires social and emotional commitment paired with financial resources. If a pregnancy is unwanted, it can result in a fetus growing into a child that is then placed in a destructive environment. Abortion prevents unwanted and unplanned pregnancies, which in turn can prevent child neglect. These destructive environments can vary, but all of them are detrimental to the development of a child. Financial stability can affect the lives of children, such as available food, healthcare, and housing. And while most people think government programs like food assistance and welfare solve the problem of feeding and housing children below the poverty line, that's not always the case. The Center on Budget and Policy Priorities stated that in 2019, 15% of the people who applied for food assistance and housing assistance were denied, with 11% of those applicants having children under the age of 18. And as you can see by this chart, the Guttmacher Institute also states that 75% of women needing an abortion in America in 2014 was because the woman could not afford a child because she was either unmarried or living off of one income. And as you can see by this chart, in 2014, 49% of the women who had abortions were below the federal poverty level, and 26% on top of that were even 1 to 2 times below the poverty level in America. They also state that 49% of all pregnancies among American women are actually unintended pregnancies, meaning that 49%, almost half of the children born in America each year, could face these struggles that we just spoke about if abortion isn't legalized for everyone. And that shows just how important financial and emotional stability are to raising a child adequately. The University of Buffalo did a study back in August of 2017 about the effects that children may experience later on in life because of them unintentionally being born into a family where they were not wanted. This study discovered that the association between fertility intentions and depressive symptoms as an adult were more likely due to the mother's socioeconomic background paired with a lack of access to resources and services, further proving that financial stability to provide for a child is essential for their mental health as well. Unstable relationships between parents and children can cause major anxiety and unneeded stress in developing children, which can later affect their relationships with other friends and family, even developing unhealthy coping mechanisms from trauma from abuse that they could have experienced. And not only can the mental health and the growth of the child be affected by an unwanted pregnancy, but the physical health of the potential mother could also be at stake. The American College of Gynecologists states that pregnancy imposes significant physiological changes on a person's body. These changes can include, high blood pressure, infections, kidney problems, anemia, even cancer. All of these could cause pregnancy complications if these health issues were present in a pregnant woman. Situations like these show that pregnancy termination in the form of an abortion is sometimes the only medical intervention that can either preserve the patient's health or save their life. And despite the dangers of living with a chronic illness and not being able to carry a fetus to term, we also have the issue of legal abortions. By now in America, we've seen that prohibiting abortion doesn't stop abortions. All this means is that women simply seek abortions outside of our healthcare system, which is extremely unsafe. The World Health Organization estimates that 25 million unsafe abortions take place each year. And the American College of Gynecologists also points out that making abortion illegal is a socioeconomic issue because the rich can pay exorbitant amounts of money for abortions performed by doctors under the table, whereas women below the poverty line would then have no options to be able to end their pregnancy. So I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about the alternative to abortion, which is adoption. While adoption is a great option for families that are unable to bear children themselves or wanting to make a difference in another child's life, many children in the foster care system are never adopted and actually age out of the foster care system with many different challenges. The American Academy of Pediatrics discovered that children who have been in foster care for a minimum of 14 months, just a little over a year, are 7 times more likely to experience depression, 6 times as likely to experience behavioral problems, 5 times as likely to have issues with anxiety, and twice as likely to suffer from learning disabilities and developmental delays. They also state that out of 400,000 children in foster care every year, at least 70,000 of those children live in group homes that don't have the adequate housing, food, and basic care and learning opportunities that are needed for those children to become successful. While adopting children currently in the foster care system is extremely important, it's also very important not to add to the ever growing population of parentless children in this foster care system who may live their entire childhood without a loving home. And finally, a woman's right to choose abortion is just that, a fundamental right. The anti abortion position is usually based on religious beliefs, which threaten the separation of the church and the state, which is what our Constitution was founded on. Someone's religious beliefs should not be a foundation for our laws in America. Just like we all have the right to practice free religion, we should also have the right to make our own choices about our own living bodies. Someone also doesn't have the right to force a potential mother to keep their baby solely because she consented to participate in sexual activities. One way to think about this is that we continue to take away the rights of living women to fight for the rights of unborn people. And this has to change. To end the stigma around abortion and push for its legality, our federal government should make abortion a part of our country's healthcare. And although abortion should be legal, it should still be discouraged. It should be legal simply because it is a choice of what an individual wants to do with their own body and how they want to plan their family, which they have a right to choose. It should still be discouraged because there are so many ways of preventing pregnancy, such as condoms, contraceptives, and other methods to where abortions wouldn't be needed in the first place. This doesn't mean, though, that abortion should not be readily available for the women that need the service, depending on their individual situations and what works for them and their families. Although I didn't choose to have an abortion myself, I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to get an abortion if I so wanted one. While Roe versus Wade is the most famous decriminalization case of abortion in US history, it is constantly, especially within the last 6 to 8 years, been threatened by new laws that could put more than 25 million women at risk for losing access to abortion. Just like my mother told me, if it takes a village to raise a child, imagine how hard it is being forced to raise one on your own without the resources and services needed to survive. This is why our federal government needs to make abortion legal to protect the rights of all women in America. Thank you.